Hello everyone, my name is Jen and welcome to the Book Refuge. Well, hi friends, hello. If you clicked on this video, I assume a couple of things. Number one, I'm sure a lot of you are just here because you watch all the videos that I put out, and I thank you, I love you, I see you, thank you. Some of you might be clicking on this because you're like, what's the tea? What's going on? I don't know. Some of you might be looking for this because there have been a bunch of other videos already that have went up, which I don't know that as of yet, but I assume by the time my video goes up, there'll be other people talking about this because it was a big hullabaloo. So the plan for this video today is I'm going to explain to you first, because I know not all of you have the other social medias, which good for you. Stay away from them. I'm proud of you. So you might not even know why I want to be uplifting Karina Halle today. You might have no idea. So I'm going to start with a very basic explanation of what happened. I did not do a deep dive on this, so take that with a huge pinch of salt. I'm going to tell you what, I observed, what I heard, and then I'm going to read Karina Halle's official statement. I'm going to give you my bitchy opinion about this situation, and then I'm going to give you my top 10 Karina Halle romances, because if after I've told this thing you would like to support her, I have 10 different books you can choose from to order from her, because that's the best way to support authors who are being treated this way. Because this is one of the most bizarre, this isn't even the type of situation where it's like, oh, this person did something to get canceled and I don't want them to be canceled. That's not what this is at all. This is straight up, there's lies being spread about a woman that are awful. And I don't want to put up with it as someone who has a reviewer space, someone who is in a reader space, and someone who loves indie authors and what they bring to the community. This type of trash that is happening is so ridiculous. And the way people think they can just literally fabricate lies based on the tiniest shred of nothing and then just perpetuate them everywhere and try to ruin someone's life. Yeah, you'll see what I mean. This isn't a situation of a comment that was made that someone could take one way or the other. No, someone made this shit up and then spread it around, and it could ruin her career. And I'm not putting up with it, okay? I don't put up with that stuff, okay? So I haven't read as much of her stuff lately as I used to, but I read a lot of her books back in the day. I've actually been reading her for 7 years. And so it was easy for me to pick 10 books to talk about to you. But let's start with what happened. Now, again, I did not see any of the original stuff on that, so maybe you can find another video that has that. Again, the main point of this video isn't going to be the deep dive into the tea. I just want to start the video by telling you why I'm making this video, which is, yes, I make author deep dives and I do those, but I haven't read enough of her books to do a deep dive because she has almost 100 of them. I've read maybe 25 of them, but I still wanted to do a video dedicated to her to show her I support her. And if for some reason, Karina, you end up floating across this channel, I love so many of the books that you've read and I support you as a person, even if I'm not currently reading your books. And so this is what I can do to help. Yeah. So there we go with that. So apparently, from what we can see, there was a post on X or Twitter that was about this book, Smut, which this is a re-release of hers. This book's been out for a long time. I actually haven't read this one, so I don't even know what this one's about, okay? I haven't read it, but don't know. But someone commented on that post, and what they did say, wasn't a huge deal, but the post that they made about it, which what they said, I believe, was, this book is my worst nightmare. Look at this cute, fun little cover. It has a cheeky name, which from what I can tell, reading the blurb of it, it is a tongue-in-cheek being called Smut. I've heard said that this is about there's LARPing that happens in this book. It looks really cute. I 1000% will be reading it now. I just haven't read it up until this point. So a person makes this, okay? Now, from what I can tell too, Karina Halle did not see this originally, right? She's not on X all the time. She doesn't look at those things. And no one had tagged her. That was the thing too. I think the person who did that tweet of this is my worst nightmare, they didn't tag her in it this was a bad review and try to drag her. So they were probably being sarcastic. They were being sure they're taking a dig at whatever. But that tweet went mini viral. From what she says in here, we'll get to it. It had what was it? 2 million views, and it had been liked like 50,000 times. Like, it just went kind of crazy. And so, again, I'm going to read her statement and we'll walk through it, but just to give you the general overview, someone then like told her it was happening and she went to look, and in comments then, someone made a comment that, yes, she based a book off of a real prince who's only 12 years old, and she wrote, she's supporting this word that I like won't say on here, and literally made that jump from a book which actually will be on my list of 10 books I recommend because it has the same name. And again, she says it in her statement, so we'll go through it. Because that fictional character has the same name as someone who's 12 years old, that it must mean she's representing, that fictional character represents that 12-year-old, which then would make it a type of story. Even though the character in the book that's fictional that she wrote is 30 years old and has a name that's as popular as John or Jim or Joe, you know? So you'll see, we'll get into it. And it just went absolutely crazy. So then, like, there was like, I had seen a few people being like, wow, this person's being crazy, but like, that happens all the time, right? Like, if you're on, that's why I try to stay away from those so much. I just want my YouTube channel where like, I'm the boss here, and what I recommend is like, I don't have to deal with all that stuff, right? But I saw this one post come up from, if I find a screenshot of him, I'll put it up. And he was talking about what libel and slander is, and that this type of thing actually is, like, you can't say that about people. You can't just make things up and just let the internet run with it and be okay. You know, it was a bald-faced lie. Like, you made up a lie and said that she supports that. And so now, you know, when people look up her name, that could come up next to her name. Like, people just don't think. They want to play their little keyboard warriors. They want to say nasty things and make shit up and expect no consequences. And what this statement I'm going to read about is Karina Halle being like, I'm going to sue someone for this because it could ruin my career. And again, when you see how prolific it is, you know, it was hard to pick 10 books to recommend because she has over 100 and people are trying to ruin her name, right? This isn't the same as other situations of like, they made this up because of a name being the same as a real person who's 12 must mean she was basing a 30-year-old character off of him. It'd be like if you put a Prince George in a book and he's 35, and then people said like, oh, you're basing it off of George, the young prince, and you are a blank because you did that. Like, that's literally the comparison. So, okay, before I ramble on too long now, I'm going to read her official statement, which I will link her Instagram post down below. But you're going to hear the things I've mentioned reference in here, but I'm going to speak her words, so I'm not just doing that. But if you have already read this post or you didn't care, you can skip ahead to the recommendations if you would like to. But I'm going to read her statement again, so I'm not making up my own words for her. But maybe you'll see more, a little bit of the outrage that's going on right now. Because, it just seems to be that it's like, it's romance authors that this happens to. When they write fictional things of people being in love, that people try to equate it to them actually being sick and twisted in real life. And like, as I've said many times, as a lover of taboo and dark romance, I just straight up don't believe that. I believe we're able to work through things through that. And this one isn't even a dark, like, this isn't even a dark or taboo romance. It's not. It's not. That someone tries to make it dirty when it is so far from that. It's gross. Okay, so her comment here says this, and it's a bit long, so like I said, you can skip ahead to them if you want to. Okay. I want to set the record straight and say a few things and about some extremely dangerous and libatious statements that have been made about me and my work recently. I'm doing this for every author and reader, content creator, etc., who has had slanderous vitriol said about them online, who never had a chance to defend themselves. I am doing this because this kind of thing is in the online book community and online in general has gone on for far too long and has now gone too far. Amen, sister. Before I get into this, however, I would like to say once again that though this person made public comments on my own IG post, their public Twitter account, their IG, as well as other people's IG, I do not want or need anyone to engage or harass this person. Content warning, there's mention of a subject matter that could trigger someone. Please protect yourself and ask a friend for info, blah, 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 blah. So I think I've warned you what this content will be with whatever I did there. As most of you know, over the weekend, someone will call them OP, original poster, but they're not the subject of this, just the catalyst. On Twitter, so this is where I said again, this person made the comment, okay, made a post about my rom-com Smut. I was not aware of this tweet at the time of the posting since I do not go on Elon's playground, but it was brought to my attention on Monday evening via a post on Threads. By that point, this tweet had over 2 million views, 44,000 likes, and thousands of comments. The majority of people shitting on the book, me, and the romance in general, especially spicy romance in general. I made a statement about the tweet on my own social media channels. I shared a screenshot. I did not engage with the poster in any way. I didn't tell anyone to engage or harass them. I defended my book and romance, etc. Immediately, I was hit with backlash because I didn't black out the poster's handle. Okay, so she didn't black out OP's name, is her point. I didn't redact their X handle because the post already had over 2 million views at the time. It was posted on a public space and went viral. Many of my friends and colleagues saw the viral tweet before I got wind of it and were defending me and the romance genre. The original tweet was causing an uproar within part of the romance community, which is how I heard about it, okay? But the real problem isn't the original tweet. I mean, it was what it was. She said shit. I defended shit. That's how X and social media works. And that was the end of it. Or so I thought. So just to pause real quick. The point is, like, you know what it is. People are like, don't blast this person. I say the same thing when people leave a comment on my page. If you leave a mean comment to me, I may share it on my social media. Don't do it. Don't leave a rude, hurtful comment about someone, right? You put it in a public place. This wasn't someone sending me like private DMs that I shared. Like if you posted it on my YouTube, this is a public place. People can see it, right? I generally don't erase people's stuff. I'll just hide it from me so I don't have to see it. But in my opinion, you can do that. Granted, I guess you can make it like I'm not as big of a thing as Karina Halle is, but still. She doesn't even have a 2 million like follower base. You know what I mean? This person had that. Anyway, again, that won't be the point of what we're getting into now, but she did get some backlash for doing that. And she's like, I'm not going to redact the person. It's already been seen by everybody, right? Which, whatever, people can have their opinion on that on wherever we go with it. Again, now we're getting into the part that she's going to sue someone over it if it doesn't change. Then, in the comment section of my Instagram post about my book, Smut, a person popped up, angry that I was standing up for myself and my work, on my own social media channel, mind you, and made several accusatory statements claiming I had written a pedo book based on the Crown Prince of Norway. I was shocked and confused and asked for clarification, and she stated that because my fictional prince has the name Magnus, she believed I named the character after a real prince, Sphere Magnus, I don't know how to say his name, so I'm very sorry, my Norwegian friends, who was 12 in 2018 when the book was written. I explained this character wasn't named after or based on a child prince. I also wasn't aware of this prince when I wrote the book. I named a fictional character Magnus because it's a popular Norwegian name. Again, like naming someone Prince Charles or Prince James or whatever, right? You might name your prince that without picking a specific Prince James to name it after. It's ridiculous. I needed a Nordic name when I was writing this series called The Nordic Royals, which again will be recommended in this video, so stick around. I believe this explanation was enough to shut these defamatory accusations down. I was wrong. I needed to defend myself several more times to this commenter and again explain that I had not written about a child prince, nor was I inspired to write my book by anyone in real life. After this explanation, they went on to reply to others in my comments that I wrote a, you know what I mean, type of book about a minor. This led to more people spreading this vile rumor and more defamatory statements. When someone defended me on the Smut post, the person who accused me of writing a so-called you-know-what book replied with, and I quote, I think if you have a problem with me saying an author put a queer reader on blast is wrong, it's probably because you're homophobic. I also think it's weird that you're so viscerally defending a, you know what. Let that sink in. First, let's address the queer part. How would any commenter on my post, or I know the original person who posted about Smut is queer? We wouldn't. How is it even relevant? It isn't. So she's saying they were trying to say, you're attacking a queer person. And she's like, I didn't go look up their bio before I defended myself in the comment, right? Which is fair enough. That's very true. She didn't do that. But again, this isn't about the viral tweet. It's about the fact that this person who came into my comment section called me a blank, a criminal of the worst kind, tossing the accusation and word around as if it means nothing, something very real and horrible. Again, it makes that word lose power. And for what? Because they have a theory that I wrote a book about a 12-year-old boy when my character is in his 30s and coincidentally shared the prince's middle name. Magnus is so common in Norway. It's one of the top 10 names. It's like calling someone a blank in the US because they use the name John for an adult character and there's a kid somewhere called John. Regardless, they then took this damaging, defamatory accusation and spread it as if it were fact on X and other public social media platforms, enough times that more people started spreading the same disgusting rumor, resulting in people saying additional false and defamatory things about me and my character, thus causing numerous people to state they will never read me or won't read me again. A direct result from a dangerous accusation. This is cause and effect, right? Everyone wants to jump on the bandwagon when you throw around icky words like that, because of course, if it were actually true that a person was that, you would not want to support them monetarily in any way, right? But my God, are you regardless, they then took this damaging, defamatory accusation. Oh wait, I already said that. Sorry. The same person who spread this rumor went on to say I was harassing them and the original X poster. I wasn't. I purposely asked several times for my followers not to harass anyone. Next, they accused me of inciting violence, abusing power imbalances, and inciting death threats in an attempt on their life by posting the screenshots with their handle and much, much more. I don't know this person, but I do know my reputation in the industry. For anyone to call me a blank is a slap in the face to actual victims of the horrific crime. It is endangering to me as a public figure, believe it or not. It is damaging and a very, very serious accusation, all based on absolutely nothing but their theory that the young prince was the inspo when I told them clearly, no, he wasn't. Also, if you read the author's note in The Wild Air, I clearly stated it's fictional and not based on the royal family. Right, we've seen that before. People make up fake English crown. You know, like Emma Chase did that. She made up a fake, British royal family so that she could tell her story, right? By the way, all of this is still on my IG if you need to clarify. If they deleted their, So, I mean, they've obviously since deleted it, but there's screenshots that she sent to her attorney, she says. To stop any further damage to my name and brand, my attorney advised me to take legal action, and a cease and desist has been sent to the parties involved. If these accusations and false statements do not stop, we are prepared to take the next step and sue for defamation. I will not stand idly by while someone publicly states they will ruin my career and is actively spreading harmful slander about me, not only endangering me, but my career and my family. I know some will expect me to shut my little mouth and look away, as someone in my comments said, but I have the right to defend my reputation. I am sending a message that our words carry weight. They matter, and spreading lies and false accusations isn't okay. Defaming someone's personal and professional reputation comes with consequences. Many others will take note and think twice before they post defamatory statements harming someone. Maybe someone will. It's been a hell of a week. All I wanted was to finish my book and meet my deadline. The last thing I want to do is defend my work and my moral reputation, all because someone decided that romance authors are an easy target and that anyone can say whatever they want and we're not allowed to fight back. This is me fighting back and standing up for what's right. Now I'm going to go and finish my book, and once again, if you stumble on this subject matter, remember I am asking you not to harass anyone or fight on my behalf. And when people were asking her how they could support her, as a lot of authors will say, the best thing to do is to read their books and get positive things being said about them out there. So after all of that, 20 minutes into this video, that's why we're here. I'm going to recommend you my top 10 favorite Karina Halle books, which some of them it's been 6 or 7 years since I've read them, so I do have them pulled up here. I'll have links to all of them down below. Again, I'll have links to her statement, and if I can find like other things, I'll link them down below so you can see my sources. But it frustrates me so greatly, right? I fully believe in free speech, but free speech doesn't mean you're free of the consequences, which you'll hear many people say, because people still don't seem to get it. You know, we talk through the internet and we think that things aren't real, when obviously they are, because this person who said it wouldn't be saying that she was inciting violence if, in fact, the hate you get online didn't have real life consequences, right? And because now it's like, oh, well, you're punching down now because you're the author and you're not just turning away. No, you are directly going to take food out of her and her family's mouth if you ruin her reputation with a lie. So I just don't have patience for it, and I love this author, so that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna fight hate with positivity and some smutty romance books, because what I love now is all the hate for the book has just made it jump in sales, and I've seen people posting about it all the time. Like I said, I want to go out and buy it. So I think, do I still have the ebook? I don't even know if I do, but I'm gonna get it. So we're gonna go from my favorite to least favorite. I have it listed up here. And yeah, so that's the tea, everybody. That's what's been going on. And it's ridiculous. Okay, so my very favorite, Karina Halle, has been for years. And I'm actually very sad because this book actually borrowed to a friend and then she moved. And I just never got it back. So I need to order another one. But my favorite of hers is actually Before I Ever Met You. And yeah, I read this, like I said, I read this, I think 7 years ago. I don't think it was the first one I read, but it was close to it, because I was on a kick after reading like Birthday Girl. And this isn't exactly like Birthday Girl, but it has a lot of similarities, right? So this one is a standalone by her, and it's a dad's best friend and also a boss and a single mom and like all of these things. So it has a lot of great things in this one, because William McAllister, he is the hero's name. He's handsome and he had a beautiful wife, and now they're divorced and it was really messy and icky, and he's business partners with her father. And then our heroine, she is 25 years old. She's a single mom. She, you know, has been a bit of an embarrassment to her parents at different times, or like they felt that she was, but she's getting on a straight and narrow. She has her little boy, I believe it's a little boy, and she's getting on track. And so she gets hired to be the assistant to her dad's best friend, right? And then it is a romance between the two of them. So it's a bit lighter hearted. There's no cheating, but there is lots of sexy times and good stuff happening in this one. So yeah. This is my favorite one. I love it so much. Okay, next up, we're kind of be like jumping around in this series, because my second favorite book is within a series, but it's the third book. And I think you could read it as a standalone, because the first two books are a duet, and then there's this one. We're going to talk about the other two in a minute, but my second favorite book is actually Night Wolf by Karina Halle. And this was one of the first ones that I read an arc for. I've been reading arcs for this series, and this book absolutely broke me. So this was the first book she put out actually after her dad died. Just so sad. And it's definitely very emotional, and it deals with a lot of grief. Like you can tell. I think, is it the heroine's, it's one of the characters' parents like dies in this book. Like I'm warning you. And it brought up a lot of feelings too, of like, there are some hospital scenes in here, and there was a lot of scenes it brought up for me of when I was in the hospital when my aunt was dying, and the things my sister was going through, and that happened. Like, for those of you who are new or just watching this one, my sister she's my cousin, but we call each other sisters because we're really close in age, and it was her mom who died. It's 10 years this year actually. So anyway, this one though is a vampire romance. And this is like seeing our heroine through something really tragic. So from what like I said, I'm looking at the notes for this. It's been like a long time since I read this, but I wrote in here that he's a vampire and Amethyst is a human, and they work at the Dark Eyes Club, which is a club where humans can voluntarily feed vampires, right? So we find that out in the first two. Again, we'll talk about the first two in a minute because they're a little further down my list. And Amethyst, I believe, like works there, and her and Wolf have really become like friends, and it's clear that they have a really deep connection to each other. But I think if I remember right, like he is afraid of kind of like ruining her life, of her being, you know, paired with a vampire, and she's human, and also she has family members that she loves, and you know, could they be together forever? Like all those angsty things that can happen. And then, you know, she loses a parent, and it is really hard to watch, but like the way that he's there for her and comforts her and helps her through her grief, like I just remember weeping while I was reading this book. Like it moved me so much. And I mean, it was still really hot too, because it is Karina Halle. So it was this like crying, and it's all the feels. But I love this one so much. I really need to reread this series because I didn't finish it off. Because this one's like a standalone, and then there's another duet after it that I believe is about like the character that inspired Dracula. And I was just a little burned out of the series at that point, but it's been years, so I really need to get back into it because I believe it's like Orange is the Black, or I don't remember. But anyway, I adored this one. I gave it 5 stars. And yeah, it has trigger warnings for death of a parent. There's grief. This one has breath play, blood play, and some smutty, rough sex in this one. Okay, now we have my third favorite is the Swedish Prince. Okay, not the one that started all the controversy. This is my favorite one in the series, and it is the first one, the Swedish Prince. And this one is a romance kind of inspired by Roman holiday. And this one, it's also a bit of a Cinderella story too. And so this one has our heroine who, I believe they have like a one-night stand, and she becomes the sole guardian of her. Does she have 1 or 2 siblings? I can't remember. Oh, she's the oldest of 6 siblings, and she's taking care of all of them. And so she has this fateful encounter with this man who she doesn't know is a prince. And his name is Victor. She thought he was just a businessman, and they have this amazing, like, and he's kind of like running from his responsibilities type thing. So they have this fling, they fall for each other, and then she finds out, you know, what his job really is. And like, you know, which is going to be a prince, be a king. And how well will that work out, you know, with her being the guardian to 5 of her siblings, right? But yeah, I love this one. 5 stars for me. It was so sweet. Then my next favorite is the third book in this series, which again, still not the one we're talking about. See, I don't even love the heir that much, but it still deserves being defended. So next up is A Nordic King, and I have recommended this one quite a few times on my channel. I'm surprised I haven't recommended A Swedish Prince more. It's probably just because it has more like, it has less of the tropes that I usually push around. But this third one, it's a nanny romance. It's a single dad. It's an age gap. It's a king. He's a widower. And I know in the rest of the series we like know about this this grumpy one. So this is the king of Denmark, right? So there's the countries involved. That's why this is the Nordic royals. Is there's Norway. There's Sweden, Norway, and Denmark are the ones that they do. So he's the king of Denmark, and she becomes the nanny for his 2 kids, I think. So this one also had a lot of vibes that gave me kind of like, he gives me like Sound of Music vibes is what I was going to say. And yeah, he's definitely very like, wants to be closed to any love at all. The way things went with his queen, like things went really sour. It wasn't good near the end. So yeah, this one has a lot of angst, and there's lots of sneaking around and stuff in this one. But I also love seeing him as a dad kind of like soften and be there for his children more, as she kind of encourages him to do that. Then there is The Royals Next Door. Now this is one of her traditionally published ones, and she actually has another one that's coming in this series. It might already be out, or else it's coming. But this one is actually a bodyguard romance, but it's not the bodyguard falling for his charge. It's actually Piper is a teacher, and she lives next door to the royals, okay? And he's one of the bodyguards for the royals. So when this came out, there was a lot of Meghan and Harry drama, and this was supposed to be a little like, you know, when Meghan and Harry, I believe they moved to Canada, where they moved for a while, and so it's kind of that inspiration, right? And so like if they had moved there, like who their neighbors were. So this is a romance between her and the bodyguard to them, which was really, really fun. Okay, then we have River of Shadows. This was book 1 in the Underworld Gods. So this is a series I know I've talked about a lot that I've been frustrated with like the last ones, because this is going to end up being, I think there's like going to be 4 or 5 in this series or something, and I thought it was supposed to only be a duet and she just kept adding to it. But all that being said, I feel like once this series is done, I'll really love it. It's just the waiting, and then she ended up getting bored with the series and had to switch to other stuff. And so when you're someone who's like really waiting for the next book, it gets frustrating. But that all being said, I love this book. This first one, River of Shadows, is a bit of like a Death in the Maiden retelling. It's a Finnish mythology in the underworld of Tunela, and it has the god of death who's not able to like touch anyone. And then we have Hannah. She finds out that her father has like disappeared, and so she goes to northern Finland for his funeral, and then discovers that he's not dead. He's been like taken into the mystical world, and so she wants to try to go after him. And supposedly her father is being held captive by the god of death. I think it's her dad, right? Yeah. She gets captured and is held by the god of death. So that's the beginning of the series, and I really liked A River of Shadows. And I did like when I read like City of Darkness as the most recent one, and I liked that one. It felt good being back in the world again, but I want the series to be done before I really start pushing it. But there are 3 books out in the series so far, so if you're someone who like you're okay with like waiting a little bit, it's a pretty good series. I like it a lot. Okay, then we have Dark Eyes book 1, and this one was Black Sunshine, and this introduced us to the Dark Eyes world, the same one that Nightwolf is in. And in this one we meet Lenore Warwick, who for her 21st birthday just wants to hang out with her friends, and unfortunately fate has other plans for her. A week before her birthday, she's kidnapped by the brooding and dangerous stranger with cold eyes and a lethal touch, and this is Solon. And you know, we'll find out he's a vampire, but it turns out she's a vampire too and just didn't know it. And she was taken by a pair of vampire slayers when she was a baby. They had killed her parents and they took her in. And now, you know, she's coming of age and having to find out that, you know, she is a vampire when she hasn't been raised to deal with that at all. So I remember really liking, I believe it's Black Sunshine. And then, let's see here. What was the next one? And The Blood is Love was the follow-up to that. And I really like that duet a lot. And then, like I said, then Nightwolf came after that. Okay, then we have The Wild Heir, which, again, this is the one that apparently caused all the drama. And just, I'm sure you get it by now, the logic jumps that people make. I don't know what's going on with them in here. I don't know. But yeah, this one is book 2 in the series. And this one is, as we've said, about a Norwegian prince named Magnus of Norway. And he keeps getting into trouble. So he's a wild heir. He keeps getting into a bunch of trouble. And so the only way the monarchy can save face is for him to smarten up. So enter Princess Isabella, who they're supposed to have kind of a like fake dating or like arranged marriage. And they really don't like each other when they first meet, but it's supposed to be like a royal arranged marriage type thing. Okay, then we have a standalone that's full of lots of things I love. It's called Love Wrecked, and this is a shipwrecked romance, okay? I remember it being a little bit like wonky how it played out, but you know, if you love shipwreck or survival romances, desert island, there's this one. So this one, it's actually, you know, his brother and her sister are going to be getting married. And so they're going on kind of like, it's supposed to be a destination wedding thing. And she's the maid of honor and he's the best man. And they go on this little like sailing trip together. And they end up getting shipwrecked on a desert island near Fiji. And so, yeah, there is like a research scientist on this place, but he doesn't have lots of contact with the outside world at all. And yeah, they're stuck there for a certain amount of time. Like I said, I thought it was a little wonky, like how they got out and how that happened, but I love a shipwreck romance. So, you know, it was all right. And then we have the Sins duet, and it starts with Black Hearts. And this one is a mafia romance. So this one, hold on here. Come on, computer. There is Black Hearts and Dirty Souls. So there is Vincent Burnell, and he's the son of an infamous drug lord. He was born to help run the family business, which means he's raised on a throne of sordid past and dirty laundry. But then he stumbles across someone he's not supposed to know about, a woman from his father's checkered past. He sets out to California to find her behind his father's back. So then he kind of starts getting to know her and romancing her, even though he really shouldn't. And then when everybody finds out about the games he's been playing, they could all be in a lot of trouble. So I actually read this for the Mafia Romance Readathon 1 year. So there's some, see, there's a little bit of everything for everyone. I know she has a fantasy series out now too. I have not read any of it. I know she has the like mermaid series. I haven't read that one yet, but I have a copy of it. So she has something in pretty much everything. I know she's written some too that aren't even really romance. She's written some like horror novels too. Like she just has so much. So like I said, I'm going to link each of these books down below, as well as her author page on Amazon. So if you want to support her, if you want to, you know, send some love her way by reading some of her books on, you know, whether you buy them, whether you read them on Kindle Unlimited, that's the word I want, all of that will help her. But this is absolutely ridiculous, this situation that she was put in. Like, honestly, it's so crazy. And like, people might have their opinions about how she reacted to it, but what else was she supposed to do? Like, just defending her romance novel turned into someone calling her a P word? How does that even happen? And it wasn't even a dark romance book or a thing like that, and it jumped to that. So anyway, that's why this video got made. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you find some good books to read from her. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching, my friends, and I'll see you next time. Bye.